Today, we're going to jump into a really powerful chapter from the book of Numbers. It's a story told in two parts, and they're both incredible. First, you've got 5 brave women who stand up and challenge the law itself. And then we pivot to a great leader who's facing his own end, but is laser-focused on securing a future for his people. So let's get right into it.
You know, it's a question we've all thought about. What do you do when the rules just aren't right? Well, for the family in our story, this isn't some philosophical debate. It's a real-life crisis. Their entire legacy is about to be completely erased, and that's exactly where our story begins.
So our first story kicks off with this incredible act of courage. It's all about 5 women who look at a law they know is unjust and just decide, nope, this is not how our family story is going to end.
Okay, so verse 1 drops us right into a dramatic scene. You've got this huge assembly of all the Israelites, and suddenly 5 women step forward. They aren't just a nameless group. The text tells us who they are: Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. You can just see them walking with this incredible purpose, their faces set with determination. This is it, the start of their challenge.
And in verse 2, you see just how bold they are. I mean, where did they stop? Not on the sidelines. No way. They walk right up to the entrance of the tabernacle, the most important, most sacred place in the entire camp. And look who they're facing. Moses, the leader, Eleazar, the high priest, and all the chiefs. They are literally standing before the Supreme Court of Israel.
So in verse 3, they start to lay out their case. And they are so smart about it. They start with a key point. Their father, Zelophehad, is dead. But, and this is crucial, he wasn't a traitor. He didn't join that rebellion against God. He just died. They're making sure everyone knows he was an honorable man. And then they drop the fact that changes everything. He had no sons.
And then you get to verse 4. And wow, this is the heart of it all. It's this powerful, emotional question. You can almost hear one of them asking it, her voice just ringing out. Why should our father's name be wiped out? Because under the law as it stood, with no sons to inherit, his name, his legacy, his land, it would all just vanish as if he never existed. They're fighting for his memory.
Verse 5. What a moment. Moses, the great leader, he's stumped. He has no answer for them. This has never happened before. So you can see him turning away from the women, away from the silent crowd, and he looks up. He takes their case directly to God. The tension here is just immense. A whole family's future is hanging in the balance.
And the answer that comes back? It doesn't just solve this one family's problem. Oh no. This is a divine ruling that is about to change the laws for the entire nation forever. So in verses 6 and 7, the verdict comes down, and you can just imagine it echoing. The daughters of Zelophehad are right. I mean, what a total validation of their courage. God doesn't just agree with them, he commands Moses, you will give them their father's inheritance. And in that one moment, history is changed by these 5 women.
And then from verses 8 through 11, you see how this one brave act sends out these ripples of justice. God sets up a whole new permanent law. He says, okay, first, if a man has no son, his daughter gets the inheritance. Simple. If there's no daughter, then it goes to his brothers. No brothers? Fine. It goes to his father's brothers, his uncles. And if there aren't even any uncles, it goes to the next closest relative. It's this clear, fair system for everyone.
And then the second half of verse 11 just locks it in. This wasn't a one-and-done deal. It became a statute of judgment, a permanent binding law for the whole nation for all time, all because 5 women had the courage to step up and ask, why?
Okay, so take a breath, because right here, the whole tone of the chapter just shifts. It's like a hard cut in a movie. We go from a story about a new beginning for a family to a story about an ending for the nation's greatest leader, Moses. In verse 12, you see this lone, aging figure, Moses, and he gets this command from God, go up the mountain. From the top, he will finally see it, the promised land, the land he has spent 40 years leading his people towards. You can just see him starting that slow, solitary climb.
And then verse 13 hits with this really heavy, somber truth. When you've seen it, you will die. It's such a bittersweet moment, right? He gets to see the promise fulfilled, he gets to look out over the land, but he himself won't get to step into it, just like his brother Aaron before him.
So, the big question is, why? Why can't Moses go in? Well, verse 14 gives us the reason.
and it goes back to a past failure. Remember back in the wilderness of Zin at Meribah? God told Moses to speak to a rock to get water. But instead, Moses, in a moment of anger, struck the rock twice. He rebelled and he didn't honor God in front of everyone. And that action had this consequence.
Now check this out. In verses 15 and 16, Moses has just been told he's about to die. And what's his first reaction? Is it please no? Does he argue? No. His first thought is a prayer for his people. He immediately asks God to appoint a new leader. It just shows you the incredible character of this man.
And in verse 17, he uses this incredible image. He pleads with God so that the people won't be left like sheep which have no shepherd. It's a metaphor that is just filled with love and concern. A shepherd guides, protects, and cares for the flock. Even at the very end of his own life, Moses' number one worry is the future of the people he loves.
And that brings us to the final act of the chapter, the formal ceremony. This is where the torch of leadership is officially passed, securing the nation's future.
So in verse 18, God answers Moses' prayer, and he gives him a specific name, Joshua. And get this description, a man in whom is the Spirit. That's a huge deal. The command is clear. Take Joshua and perform the first symbolic act. Lay your hand on him. It's that ancient gesture of blessing and transferring authority.
And verse 19 makes it crystal clear. This isn't happening behind closed doors. The command is that it has to be public. You can see Joshua being brought right to the center of the camp, standing before the high priest, in front of everyone. The whole nation has to see this, so there is absolutely no doubt about who the next leader is.
Verses 20 and 21 then lay out the specifics of Joshua's new role. He's going to receive a portion of Moses' authority. He'll be the military commander, the one who leads them out to battle and brings them back in. He's also going to seek God's guidance through the priest. And, most importantly, all the people are to follow him.
And in verse 22, you see Moses' beautiful obedience. He does exactly what God told him to do without any hesitation. You can just see this powerful scene, the old, revered leader taking his successor, Joshua, by the arm and presenting him to the entire nation. It's a moment of incredible humility.
Then comes verse 23, the absolute climax of the ceremony. Moses places his hands on Joshua's head, and in that one powerful public act, the torch is passed, the authority is transferred, and the future of the nation is made secure, exactly as God commanded. So we end with these two incredible stories of legacy packed into one chapter. The daughters of Zelophehad, through their sheer courage, created a legacy of justice that lasts forever, and Moses, through his faithfulness, even in the face of his own death, created a legacy of leadership that ensured his people would survive. And so it kind of leaves us with a question to think about: what will your legacy be?